Hello again, everyone. Edwin Lerner back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the September 6, 2021 new moon in Virgo. Now, the new moon in astrology can be a time when people may have much enterprise and initiative. There can be an abundance and surfeit of energy. It can be a very revitalizing and rejuvenating point for people. Now, what may have prohibited you and held you back may now be discarded, and it could be where the superfluous, frivolous can be tossed away in order to make a start on something serious in one's life. Now, it can be more introspective and reflect the planning, the beginning phase of a project or endeavor. Now, this transit of the new moon can impact all collectively, of course, but especially those with a Virgo or Cancer sun, moon, or ascendant, because being in Virgo, of course, it's going to be in its own sign. And the zodiac sign Cancer, obviously, because the moon does rule and govern Cancer, and Cancer is simply affected strongly by all transits and phases of the moon. I believe this definitely plays a strong role in why the zodiac sign Cancer can be so moody, fickle, and temperamental. Now, many people may start a new health or exercise regime, which can include working out vigorously. Say if this falls in the 12th house in one's natal chart, it can be doing so perhaps in solitude or seclusion. It can be a time where many may begin to extrapolate data and which could cover many, different things. The NFL season is going to be just around the corner as far as the regular season goes, and many will be projecting football stats. It's interesting that this is happening. This new moon is taking place near the time of the beginning of the regular season in the NFL, and there's a lot of people that do fantasy football. And fantasy football, people are extrapolating, projecting stats for individual players in games. And see if this falls, and especially if this falls in like the fifth house of sports, I would say as well. And it could be the beginning for many of a diet or fitness program or something where one is more industrious. It could be the start of something service related. It could just be some kind of job or employment in general. Another thing too is that, interestingly enough, this new moon will take place near the beginning of the school year for many people, and it could be the start also of taking more health precautions at this time. Now, sanitation, it could be a start of greater sanitation for some, or cleaning, or organizing. If this falls in the fourth house as an example, it could be home organization. If your home is really disheveled and it's been some time where you really it hasn't been taken care of, and sometimes this could be that opportune time to start organizing the home and cleaning it and making everything really much neater, to say the least. And it could also be, because Virgo is connected with organizing, say if this falls in the 11th house or conjuncts natal Uranus in one's chart, it could be the beginning of compartmentalizing, defragging computers. As another example, it could be the start for some where it could be the beginning of being more hygienic. If you're a person that has not really emphasized hygiene and taking care of yourself as far as being clean and sanitary, this could be the time where you might find a time to actually start doing so. And if this is in the third house, you're somebody that's into auto mechanics, it could be a time where you might begin diagnosing vehicles at this time. Now, it could also be the start of a new Virgo profession or job, and I would say especially if it falls in what I call one of the money or work houses, the employment houses in the horoscope, the second, sixth, or 10th house. Now, a number of people may start something Virgo related, such as something with analytics, or it could be compiling data, it could be data entry. being a professional organizer, doing something with health or fitness or nutrition, something with something, working as a doctor. It could be detail-oriented work. It could be like computer programming, detailing vehicles. I don't know if that still exists or not, but anyway, those are some examples. And the thing too is, it's interesting again. I mean, it's important to look at the house this falls in one's natal chart. Of course, this could impact the delineation and interpretation. Mine is going to fall in my 5th house in my natal chart. And again, to try to say this a second, people, just bear with me. Again, this is where football season is just around the corner. And it may be, I'm going to be likely doing the football videos at this time. It can be a time where I would say, for me, I might, again, the football season is just around the corner, and I may start doing the NFL prediction videos. This is going to fall in my 5th house in my natal chart, and it could be extrapolating, projecting data for sports. Maybe I actually get into fantasy football. Now, this can involve projecting numbers for individual players, as I was stating before. I doubt I'm going to do anything with this fantasy football, but it does increase, that propensity to do so with this transit. Now, another thing too, and it could also be another way I perceive this is how it might impact me. It could be the start of more critical analysis of my love life, and maybe the lack of it, and matters with fun, amusement, and enjoyment. Am I really having that much fun? Is work? Virgo is about work. Is work conflicting with this perhaps? And this is the time where I can start to analyze that maybe a little bit more. Now, another thing too is that though the transit of the new moon is generally auspicious, I would think as well in some cases it could be the start of a Virgo health-related issue, especially if this falls in the 1st or 6th house in one's natal chart. Now, depending on the aspects it makes to points in one's chart, of course, I would say, especially, if you have it in the 6th house as an example, if it makes an inconjunct to the ascendant, because that could, inconjuncts, of course, can be about health-related matters. The ascendant is the physical body. Even if it makes an opposition to the ascendant from the 6th house, because that could still be adversarial, and it can be, something adverse with the physical body may take place with that transit. Or if it's an adverse aspect to the Sun or Mars, because the Sun can have a connection with the physical body. Mars can be associated with physical, it's injuries and physical related matters as well. Now the thing is, again, if it falls, especially like I stated before, if it falls in the 1st or 6th house especially, there may be, you might be having some onset with something Virgo related. It can be something with the spleen or the pancreas, maybe the abdomen, or something intestinal, something with the digestive, it could be digestive issues. Sometimes it may even manifest, I would say, in worrying incessantly. That might actually exacerbate an existing physical condition. More specifically, it can be something like with IBS, which of course is irritable bowel syndrome, or something with ulcers, diarrhea, gastritis, or some kind of general abdominal pain. Now, it's also important to look at the aspects this makes to points in your natal chart. Is this, of course, this could impact the delineation and interpretation for you. Now, mine, oddly enough, and just bear with me, people, I'm just going to try to look at this a little bit clearer, this chart here. Yeah, and the thing is, this could, again, it is important to look at the aspects this makes to points in your chart, is this could impact that delineation and interpretation for you. Now, mine, oddly enough, it's not going to make any major aspects to my planets, ascendant or midheaven. This might have been the first, at least during the time that I've been doing these videos on these on the new and full moons. I thought that was very odd. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that. I'm back, but anyway. It's I mean, again, it's not going to make any major aspects to my planets, ascendant or midheaven. There's going to be some that are close, but using the orbs I use, it's not going to do so. Now, although, I mean, on the good side, this could manifest in the start of something Virgo related that may be uninhibited without any, obstructions or roadblocks, because of course when you don't have any major aspects, you don't have any major adverse aspects to it, and you don't have energy that conflicts with it. But on the negative side, the fact that there's no major positive aspects to this new moon in Virgo, for me, that means that the energy might be it's hard to find an outlet for that energy, and it might be harder to express it, with in conjunction with something. So it's, for example, I mean, the fact that it doesn't make a major, positive aspect to my natal Uranus, as an example. It might be harder to incorporate if I'm doing something that requires, more critical attention to detail or analytical ability, to tie this into astrology. I mean, I do that anyway, but if I was going to try to embark on something new, like a new kind of, video that I might be doing with astrology, it might be harder to do so as a result of this. And the fact, another example is that since it doesn't make a major positive aspect to my Venus, natal Venus, it might be harder to, if it was something where that was money related that I was trying to do in connection with this, it would be harder perhaps to do so as a result. Now, again, I'm trying to still look at this chart a little bit more for this time. Hold on, people. And the thing is, too, and again, it can be, now let's say, I mean, as an example of somebody actually, let's take an example of somebody that has this transit of the moon in Virgo, the new moon in Virgo, making an adverse aspect to their natal Saturn. Well, that person might require a more laborious effort in order to start whatever it might be in connection with the new moon in Virgo. Another thing I wanted to add is that, again, I mean, when you talk about, this new moon and new moons in astrology in general, again, could be a very rejuvenating time. You might feel, very, abundance and surfeit of energy, and being in Virgo, it could be like that real workaholic energy and wanting to stay busy. It could be some nervous energy blended in, but keep in mind that if this is like, I mean, if you're having, some contraindicators in your chart saying, for example, that transit Neptune is making, an adverse aspect to your natal Sun, your Mars, or ascendant, it might be feeling more like fantasizing and daydreaming a little bit more lethargic, and that might factor in to this, delineation interpretation. Even if, say, if the transit of this moon, say, is making, say it's making an adverse aspect to your natal Neptune, that might alter it to some degree as well, and it might be a little bit harder to focus and concentrate on what you want to do as far as what is associated with the new moon in Virgo, what you might be embarking on. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Leonard saying stay well. Bear with me, we're going to have a little wobble here. I don't know if that wobble of the moon is still going on, but maybe that's got something to do with this.